Hello, welcome to another exciting edition of your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. It was a weekend filled with football action from the MPFL to the Spanish La Liga, Italian Serie A, and a lot more. Don't forget, the US Open is currently on the final Grand Slam of the year, and there was a massive meltdown from a former champion, Daniel Medvedev. On the show, we also give you the very best of tips on the Tipsters Corner. I do this in company of my homeboy, Bankole Oladuni. Before I bring him on board, let's go on a short break. Don't change the channel. We'll be back. Welcome back from that short break. It's good to have Bankole once again in the studio. Bankole, how you doing?
Edwin, it's good to be here. How about you?
I'm doing good. How was the weekend?
It was fine. It was a football field weekend, although AC Milan lost.
Yeah.
It was not the start of the league that I expected. But yeah, like last season, Napoli also lost on match day 1 and went on to win the league. So yes, I'm coping mechanism. That's what I'll call it.
All right, since you started with the Italian Serie A, let's head in that direction. Like you said, your darling Milan, Allegri back at his former stomping ground. We all know this is not 2011-2012 where they went on to win the league season, but losing to Cremonese is not the very best of starts you would have wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any Milan fan would want to lose to Cremonese, especially in that fashion. But yeah, you look at the business that was done. The transfer window, you brought in the likes of Adol Jashari. Look at Modric was brought in, Samuel Ricci, and was also brought in the acquisition at the back, Kunde Winter. You look at all of these things, and a lot of Milan fans were quite optimistic, going into the season about their chances at winning the Scudetto, including myself. But it is match day 1. You don't win or lose the league, on match day 1. There's still 37 games to go. But with what we've seen, he still seems like a manager who is trying to figure out his best 11, trying to figure out his best midfield combination. Is it going to be Modric as a deep line playmaker? Is it going to be Modric, in another position? Is it going to be Santi Jimenez? The injury of Rafael Leao has also not helped in matters. But yeah, I don't think you look at that defeat and say Milan would have a terrible season.
Not so much of a problem for Napoli. Bankole, the starting 11 is figured out. Scott McTominay picked up from where he stopped last season, and of course Kevin De Bruyne with a goal, a free kick, and a couple of decent touches to remind football fans that, hey, I'm still the Kevin De Bruyne you saw at Manchester City. Yeah,
but it was a good game generally for Napoli, but I still think the position of Kevin De Bruyne is still a bit of a conundrum. Conte has said it. He doesn't see him as a deep line playmaker. He's Lobotka, and I will be playing that role. So where would Kevin De Bruyne fit in, especially when you consider McTominay prefers playing behind the striker, which is also something you'd expect for Kevin De Bruyne. His legs, his fitness issue is also a concern. Can his legs carry the amount of work that will be done in the Conte system? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Even generally, his game on the day was not what you'd expect. His battling fitness is not up to speed physically, but was a fantastic free kick that still reminded you of his quality. But yeah, McTominay also picking up from where he stopped. Lorenzo Luca, it was good to see him up front for Napoli. They're still in the hunt for a striker due to the injury to Romelu Lukaku. So I think it's going to be an exciting Scudetto race. One of the most exciting in a very long time. You have Napoli in there, you have Inter Milan in there, you have Milan in there. Roma are the biggest unknown. You don't know if Gasparini would also launch them into a Scudetto race. But yeah, it remains to be seen how the season will pan out.
We also have an exciting title race in the Spanish La Liga. 2 wins from 2 for both Barcelona and Real Madrid. So far, Bankole, which of these sides has set the pace in terms of performance?
I think none. Both have shown lapses, glaring lapses in their game. Both have shown they are not susceptible to certain mistakes. From Barcelona, you look at their eye line and you'd expect a couple of tweaks, but it still seems of the same. Levante were lucky to get 2 goals, or not lucky. They could have scored more. If he had any ounce of quality. But it remains to be seen how Hansi Flick would figure it out. Marcus Rashford, Rafinha, there was a bit of a problem in terms of of stifling each other out. In the first half, up until Rashford, left the pitch. But one constant is that Pedro would always be, one of the best players in the Spanish La Liga. He absolutely dominated the midfield. Whenever he comes into his own, he becomes the best player for Barcelona, regardless of how good, Lamine Yamal is playing. So yeah, I think both teams are still trying to figure out a couple of things. Xabi Alonso didn't start Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo starting that game. You have Mastertuano also, starting Brahim Diaz. You look at all of this combination, and yeah, like I said, for the Italian Serie A, you don't win or lose the league after 2 games. So I think these are 2 teams who still have questions to be answered, and hopefully we'll get to see the best of La Liga race.
One team definitely doesn't have the answer, still searching for a pathway to success, and that team is Atletico Madrid, to be 5 points behind your title rivals in the early stage of the season doesn't bode well for Simeone's side.
It's not. I don't think it's even about being 5 points behind. It's about the opposition you've dropped points to. Espanyol and Elche. Espanyol were relegation candidates last season. Elche are a newly promoted team. So you look at all of this, especially at home, after the amount of money you've spent in the transfer window. Atletico Madrid have been going through some sort of identity crisis in the last couple of years. You look at the amount of the type of players they are bringing in and the type of football that they've been trying to play. It is not exactly what you would say is the strongest suit of Diego Simeone. And I think his cycle has ended Atletico Madrid, and it's just a matter of time, before we see him step out. I don't think he can take them to any other level above what he has done. I don't see him being better than Real Madrid or Barcelona, regardless of how much he spends. You bring in Julian Alvarez for 80 million, bring in Solot for 40, Alex Buena was brought in for 40 also. So all of this amount, he starts to beg the question: what exactly are the objectives that are being set for Atletico Madrid? Because you can't spend over 150 million in the transfer window and just be okay behind Madrid and Barcelona at third. You have to also challenge for the title, and that is not something we've seen for Atletico Madrid in recent years. They have to be there and about, both in the La Liga and also in the Champions League. And it remains to be seen how Diego Simeone will figure it out this season.
Definitely Tottenham Hotspur have figured how to defeat Manchester City Balcony in the Premier League. It was lunchtime kickoff at the Etihad, and just like it happened last season, only this time the scoreline was different. It was 2-0 in favor of Spurs, and you can immediately see the imprint of Thomas Frank in the Spurs side. Yeah,
and the thing about Thomas Frank is he's not set on one particular style of football. He's like I said last week, he's adaptive to his opponent. Yeah. He evolves. Yes, he evolves based on what his opponent is. And then you look at what Spurs did. It was very simple. If you can't beat their press, just launch it. And City don't even have the best of press. Bentancur was gliding through their press easily. It was quite surprising to see. Maybe not surprising. I think a lot of people like me expected something like this from City. We knew that it was not the questions that we saw from last season are still unanswered. The defensive combination, the midfield also without Rodri. Even with Rodri, I don't think you would see an instant improvement in quality. But yeah, shout out to Thomas Frank. I think he did a good job at nullifying all of City's strengths. His game plan was very simple, like I said. Long ball straight to Richarlison. Richarlison passes the ball to Brennan Johnson, and you have your first goal. Second goal also, you bring in João Palhinha, who ensured that he took control of that midfield in terms of being off the ball, winning tackles and intercepting passes. So yeah, you look at all of these things and you have to commend Thomas Frank. Just how many weeks have you spent with Spurs? Just about a couple of months in there with a few players, but you can actually see his imprint. You can actually see that these guys are actually being coached properly, and that's exactly what you'd demand from any Premier League manager.
And there were a couple of head-scratching moments for Pep Guardiola. And I'm sure at the back of his mind is like, what exactly am I supposed to do? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to do right?
So I think it's quite simple. Yeah, I think the Premier League have enough coaching that the pressing has become significantly better and intelligent. So if you are playing a possession type football like Pep Guardiola, teams would figure you out. Teams would immediately know when to, press and how to press you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the problem with Pep Guardiola. You go around with still possession of the ball, and these teams don't bother, running around like they used to, where you can pass them to death. Like, you look at what Thomas Frank did. He gave them possession, he ceded possession to City in their own half, and you could see there are certain press triggers that you look at the Spurs player. The moment the ball gets to certain places, you press them, and that's exactly what a lot of managers in Premier League are doing. Like I said, the quality of managing of coaches in the Premier League has increased significantly, and you can't continue, to play a certain type of football, especially when you know that the problem solving from other teams have increased significantly. So I think that's the problem with Pep Guardiola. I don't think it's a personal issue. I don't think the defensive bodies are terrible. With a proper defensive structure, you can still mount a defensive side in Manchester City. So I think it's just down to the manager, and hopefully, as being one of the best managers in the world, he can figure it out also.
It was a 5-star performance for London sides, Chelsea and Arsenal Football Club. You get a feeling that Graham Potter could be the first manager to get a sack, or perhaps it is Ruben Amorim of Manchester United, £250 million worth of attacking players, yet they could only get a goal via Muniz, who put the ball in the back of his net.
Yeah, and that is something that I've always preached. You don't cater your transfer dealings on a manager. You don't bring in players based on the manager ideology, because there are chances that it won't work. And we are saying that the likelihood of Ruben Amorim's system not working at Manchester United is higher than it's working. You look at the system that is amplifying the weakness of your players.
Yeah.
You look at the system that is creating a conundrum for your best player, in Bruno Fernandes. A system that is stifling your frontmen. You have like you mentioned, 250 million forward line, and you can count the amount of touches they had in the second half. You can count the amount of times the ball got to Matheus Cunha or Brian Mbeumo. Leno probably had a vacation, in the second half of that game. So I look at all of this, and if you continue to insist that this is the type of system you want, you're not going to get results. You're not going to see improvements in a lot of things. And for Manchester United, a team that prides itself, in being one of the best teams in England, you need to get results. And like I said, you've already brought in a couple of players. A couple of players might still probably join based on the coach's recommendation before the end of the season. So where would you go from here? It's to continue the same cycle that we've seen from Manchester United all these years.
Fingers crossed, Manchester United fans. These are not the best moments, but hey, I'm a bit optimistic. Glory, glory, Manchester United. Let's go to the short mechanism. Let's go to the short break. When we return, there's more on the other side. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Edwin and Bankole in the building. I'm sure you're having so much fun with us. Bankole, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be in action in a couple of weeks. It is Rwanda and South Africa World Cup qualifiers. Fingers crossed on what to expect. But the 31-man provisional list was released. For those who haven't seen it yet, let me just do a quick roll call of the players invited. The goalkeepers, you have Stanley Wabali, Amas Obasoge, Adebayo Adeleye, Harcourt Ebenezer, the 15-year-old who was part of the Chan team. Defenders are William Troost Ekong, captain, Calvin Bassi, Olaino, Bright Osai Samuel, Bruno Yemachi, Igor Ogbu, Chidozie Awaziem is back in the side, Felix Ago and Benjamin Fredericks. Midfielders are Alex Iwobi, Frank Onyeka, Alassane Yusuf, Wilfred Ndidi, Raphael Onyedika, Fisayo Dele Bashiru, and of course Chris Santos Uche. And the forwards are Ademola Lookman, Samuel Chukwueze, Victor Osimhen, Moses Simon, Victor Boniface, Nathan Teller, Cyril Desert, Sadiq Umar, Tolu Arokodare, Terry Murphy, and Akpo Adams. 31 players. I've never been a fan of provisional list in qualifying series. If it's for the major tournament, yes, I can understand. But you still have to drop players. Overall, what's your take on the players invited?
Yeah, just to comment on what you just said, I think 31-man list for a nation that is not exactly blessed with talent, I think is unnecessary. because then you start to bring in some names that you find very questionable. I don't think in 2025 we should still be relying on the certain Chidozie Awaziem. I don't think we should still be looking at Chidozie Awaziem in our list. So you look at some of the names on that list and you question how it is that they came about making the Super Eagles list. So but yes, going forward against Rwanda and South Africa, these are teams that are quite beatable on paper, but we know that the Super Eagles are quite how will I say it, inconsistent when it comes to World Cup qualifiers. Rwanda are not the best of teams. I think we can take them on, but South Africa now, this is where it gets tricky. This is a team that has shown to have quality. You can talk about their lack of talent or whatever it is and their organization in the league, but they have also shown to have quality. They're currently topping our World Cup qualifying group. They've shown to be a much more better team than us in this qualifying stage. So it's going to be quite tricky for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, but we have the players to undo Rwanda and South Africa. If we do not get to qualify for the World Cup, then questions should be asked of those in charge.
All right, away from the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it was match day 1 in the MPFL 2025-2026 season, and a quick rundown of the results. Abia Warriors defeated Kano Pillars by lone goal. El Kanemi defeated Benel Insurance 2-0. Shooting Stars lost at home to Bielsa United 0-1. Wiki Torres back in the Premier League defeated Plateau United 1-0. Kwara United were held at home by Ikorodu City. That was a goalless game. While Rangers also were held at home by Kun Khalifa. This was more or less like a small Oriental derby. Kasuna United lost at home to Warri Wolves, who are also making a return to the big league. Barao and Enyimba ended goalless, while Remo Stars were held at home by Rivers United. And this weekend fixtures, we have Benel Insurance versus Shooting Stars, Kano Pillars versus Wiki Torres, Plateau United versus Castina United. Warri Wolves are up against Rangers International. Kun Khalifa host Remo Stars. Rivers United entertain Kwara United. Ikorodu City at home against El Kanemi Warriors. Bielsa United versus Barao. Enyimba host Niger Tornadoes, and Nasarawa United entertain Abia Warriors. A quick one from the US Open. Bankole, Daniil Medvedev out in the first round. His decline has been astonishing. This was someone who regularly got to the final stages of the biggest competitions, but these days he can't seem to cut it at the top, and we've seen him have frequent meltdown. This time around, he hurled insult, was aggressive at a photographer who encroached the tennis court, smashed his racket. Do you think he needs to call it a day or maybe take some time off for his mental health? Yeah,
I think he needs to take some time off. I think what we are seeing has been, a bit of mental errors. It's not down to the fact that he doesn't have the ability. A player, as of 3 years ago, was world number 1. A player who, went toe-to-toe with Novak Djokovic and even defeated Djokovic a couple of times. So, I still think in terms of sheer talent, he's probably still up there with some of the best tennis players currently. But, you can clearly see that a couple of things are taking a toll on his mental health. Probably the whole situation with his country, the fact that he was banned a couple of times because not because of his own undoing, but because of his country. And there was a certain stigma that was attached to Daniil Medvedev. So I think he probably just needs to take a break. He probably needs to how will I say it, build himself up mentally and then come back and see how it goes going forward.
There you have it, a fan of Daniil Medvedev, and I hope that whatever phase he's currently in, he comes out of it victoriously. Let's go on a short break. It's our video for the week. When we return, we'll wrap up the show with the Tipsters Corner. It was a 5-star performance for Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres Bankole double on the day that load is off his shoulders, and a cheeky clap back to fans who trolled him for always touching his hair.
I think that was unnecessary. I think
come on, stop it.
No, look.
If you can dish it out, be ready to accept it.
I mean, it's not even about it's not even about dishing it out. I think in a league where you'd have a lot of attention thrown at you, you cannot get You cannot keep having people get under your skin.
If you can deliver on the field consistently, I see no reason why you
It is just match the
give the
two.
fans.
It is just match the two. So if people know that whatever it is that they say on social media will get to you, then you already have a problem. And that is exactly what I saw from his celebration. I don't have a problem with him giving it back to fans, but I just think that if you are intentionally looking at the camera, flicking your hair just to get back at fans or what fans are saying on social media, then it already shows that you, whatever it is they are saying outside is getting to you. And knowing football fans, they would only amp up the pressure. All
right, fair enough. Let's go straight to our Tipsters Corner. Today we have 2 games lined up for you in the Premier League and in the Spanish La Liga. The big one at Anfield, Liverpool versus Arsenal, and of course, Rayo Vallecano versus FC Barcelona.
For Liverpool against Arsenal, I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah.
An Arsenal team without Bukayo Saka, without Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard. These are 3 key players to their team. But you can also see how they've done good business by bringing in players to add to their depth. Eze would be making his debut against Liverpool, which is not exactly ideal. You know, a baptism of fire at Anfield is not the best way to make your debut for a team. But I think Liverpool still have enough quality to get one over Arsenal. We probably might see a lot of goals. Seeing our Liverpool defense is not all that at the moment, and Arsenal might also take advantage of that. Virgil van Dijk will be reeling with the physical battle he might be seeing. Victor Gyökeres, also Konate, is a defender who enjoys going into duels, strikers like that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch. I think Liverpool might just nick this one for me.
Goals market?
Yeah, goals market over 1.5, over 2.5, both teams to score. We've seen both teams to score consistently at Anfield between these 2 teams. So yeah, I think both teams to score over 1.5, over 2.5. But if you want to be adventurous, the Liverpool straight win.
How about the corner market? I think this is something.
Yeah, the corner market, especially for Arsenal.
For
Arsenal, who tends to take advantage of a lot of corners. So yeah, you can also tap into the corners market over 8.5, over 9.5 corners.
In Spain, Barcelona away at Vallecano.
Yeah, Vallecano are also a team. They are very decent. They got to Europe last season. They are currently playing in the Conference League qualifier. So you look at that team as one of the best teams, in the league. They had Iraola, lay the foundations for what we are seeing right now. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite tricky, especially when you consider the eye line that Barcelona deploys for their team. So I think. It might not be popular, but I don't see Barcelona picking out 3 points at Vallecano. I think Vallecano has enough quality, enough coaching, to take advantage of that eye line.
So we're looking at the goals market.
Yeah, we see goals. We see both teams to score also for Barcelona. And if you a risky person like me, a one-up forever.
All right, there you have it from Bankole, the octopus in the house. Remember, Sports Pizza is not liable for any bet loss. We just give you our own expert opinions on the likely outcome of these games. This is where we drop anchor on today's show. I'm sure you had so much fun with us. It was enlightening, it was educative, and of course, it was very, very entertaining. Do ensure you follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen, and we have lovely content for you on our YouTube page. This is all signing out, Bankole. Always a pleasure doing this with you.
Thank you very much, Edwin. It's always good to be here to talk sports with you. And from myself to our viewers out there, have yourself a lovely, lovely week.
And from me, Edwin Onyebolisi, do have a sporting weekend.